Alright, welcome back ladies and gentlemen to the Chupacabra Tutorials channel. I'm your host Larry, and today we're checking out a demo for a game called Drain Simulator. So essentially what this is I don't know if you've ever seen on social media, people go out when it's raining, people who have a passion for storm drains and understanding the dynamics of the flow of water to not flood things, and they go unclog them, and that's what this game is all about. It's one of those simulator games like Lawn Care Sim, or Power Washing Simulator, or House Flipper, where you simulate what it's like to go out and do this. And we're going to check out the demo here today, which was a part of Steam Next Fest here. I've got one from before where I was playing around for a while, but I'm going to go ahead and create a new save, and we're going to check out how this works here today.
From the outside world due to a catastrophic landslide that has blocked all access roads. This extended isolation has prevented emergency vehicles from reaching our town to provide assistance to our fellow residents in need. Despite the passage of time, our local...
So basically, because of unforeseen circumstances, we have to become the hero that this flooded town deserves and needs. We are going to become Drain Man. This is the tutorial where it kind of teaches us how everything works. We start out with a wrench, which allows us to manipulate different objects that are crankable, besides our hog. In this case, it's going to be the fire extinguisher, or like, well, the fire hydrant, I should say. And you can adjust with up and down where your wrench is positioned, so that you can slowly turn and shut off this valve. Pretty simple and straightforward. The only thing that's a little bit ridiculous in the demo right now is this vacuum cleaner, which you will see in a moment. So we'll grab the wrench. Well, we'll keep the wrench on us, but I'll also grab the vacuum. I think that's mostly it back here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this rake. We're not gonna do any seeding of the of this area. We're gonna actually clear out some drains. So this map, which appears to have been updated to actually show where you are on the map, because before it was just a mystery map, it shows these 3 circles where there should be a drain, and it'll also indicate where the deepest water is, which is where this red stuff is on the map. The little heat map shows where everything is at its worst. And so you can kind of see down there, there's a big glob of mud, likely where the drain should be. And then when we start to clean it, it'll like have a bunch of debris come off of it, and it'll show the water receding. And as this water drains, we will have to come back here and make sure it stays unclogged. There's gonna be 2 more over here, one on either side of the street, like little storm drains. You can kind of see them under the water. Even added some very bright rainbow-colored bubbles since the last time I tested this, which is quite nice. They're improving things even when the game is literally just a demo. We go over here, clean out this other one. There's a lot of gook in these drains, although that's not entirely unusual. There's a lot of commentary from real-world people that do this about how cities can improve the drainage by swapping out the type of grates that they use, so big long ones instead of these smaller ones that are a bit narrow and short because they get clogged easier. I think that's all really important. I think some of these guys should partner with like cities around the country to help improve and maintain drainage around like the world and countries. Like, this sort of stuff feels like it should be pretty set in stone at this point. Last thing we can do to help get rid of the water is we can use this vacuum cleaner. And this vacuum cleaner is a little bit ridiculous because it functionally has no end to how much water that it can suction up. Or at least it did. You can kind of just like infinity suck the map until all of the water has receded. And you can see, as we're draining the water, you can actively see the water disappearing from these different drains, although, like I said before, the gook starts to build back up the longer that it's draining. So you actually have to come back here and like make sure the gook stays away with your rake. And that, in the core of it, is the game. You drain water from flooded areas so that they're not flooded anymore. Which can be kind of cool depending on who you are. There's a lot of people that kind of find this really satisfying. Like people who watch those videos of cleaning companies that go in and do like a deep cleaning on really, really dirty carpets in people's houses, or tile flooring with grout that's as dark as midnight. That sort of thing. Grout that needs a good bleaching. So is that it? I guess we're slowly having the water recede. You can actually watch it on the map in real time, which I thought was kind of cool. So now that I've pretty much got this under control, now the game is directing me behind my house, because there's actually like a ditching mechanic where you can dig a ditch to drain water. And also, in the event, let me just hop over my own fence here. In the event that you can't see anything, there's also a generator to place a light. So I can pick up this generator. I can place it over here. I honestly don't know what this portion's about, but this may come into play later in the game. I'm not 100% sure. Let me grab option 4, and I want to set up this light. So we're going to activate the generator. Well, somewhere we're going to activate the generator. Maybe I put this down first. There was an activate button somewhere. Pick up. Pick up. It's like trying to answer a phone call. I swear. Alright, let's just pick it back up and put it back down. Maybe then it'll let me do the thing. There we go. I just had to click it. Okay, now we have to set up a light. Wants me to set up a light so I can see everything. Then it wants me to plug it in with the world's thickest cable. Because we're all about safety here on the Chupacabra Tutorials channel. Looks like we can plug in a couple of objects too to this if we really want. Alright, and then I guess we can click to turn it on. I drop this. We do need this shovel. I'm not sure if I remember how to... Ah, it's G. So to drop a tool, I just select that tool and I hit G to drop it. So there's my cable. Now I can click to turn that on. Perfect. That's something that maybe they could use like a permanent free hand slot for, but it doesn't make much of a difference. So now I want to dig this into my neighbor's backyard, because I'm just that kind of a guy, to get rid of the puddle of gunk in my yard. You know, the responsible thing to do that definitely doesn't get HOAs and civil court on your case is draining your backyard into your neighbor's yard. They'll definitely never notice when their yard turns into a swamp or a portable swimming hole. I actually watch a lot of those sort of weird dispute videos online that end up in court. It's like people do some wild stuff to their neighbors where they like completely re-cement their yard to try to get rid of like a water standing problem, not realizing that your neighbor doesn't want to have that nonsense either. They'll probably get pissed at you if you do that sort of thing. So now we can just bucket to help get rid of all this water. which I'm again going to dump into my neighbor's yard because I'm just such a swell fella. I'm gonna save the world from draining water by dumping it into somebody else's yard. Because it's gotta go somewhere, and if you're downstream, sometimes you're just gonna have to suck wind, really. We'll just pour this out, and then I can visually scan to see where there's water, which, admittedly, I could already kind of see the water, so not too much of a surprise there. It gets dark really fast in this game, too. That's kind of new. Before, it was always just kind of perpetually, like, mid-afternoon. You know, that kind of afternoon when it gets kind of rainy, it's kind of gray. You can still see everything, but it's definitely not morning, and you're definitely not super stoked about it because it's probably literally cold out at that point. There we go. A little bit more, and we're done with the backyard. And then it's our neighbor Dave's problem. Sucks to be Dave, I guess. Or Carl. Whatever you like your sassy neighbor you don't have a good relationship to be called. Maybe Frankie. Or how are we feeling about Frankie for the sassy neighbor's name? I could see that working out. Oh, and now we're done. Perfect. I don't know why we didn't get 4 stars, but I honestly don't care. It's the tutorial. Especially with like a starting demo, I'm not too worried about it.
Major suburban street has somehow been completely drained. No city crew, no paperwork, just gone. Locals report seeing some guy wandering around.
Wow, this is a big area. There's like 4 different areas that I need to empty. Okay.
One garden in the area was discreetly drained.
Sounds good. Let's start the mission. We need...
According to several chatty residents, was supposed to be
I guess we need some pumps. Do we need pumps? I'm not even sure. I guess we can determine what equipment we like. Pumps might be handy to have, but at the same time, it's just more crap to move around. But sure. I'm not... How much space do I have available? I got 28 left? Okay, I guess I can handle that. Let's get, like, a pump. Oh no, we have a bunch left in our pickup. Okay, and then we'll get, like, a generator. Some lights. Well, maybe no, I don't really care about the lights. Well, it does turn light fairly quickly right now, so maybe a couple of lights sounds good. We can hold a lot of stuff. Like we have more weight to use in the back of our pickup, but that's fine. We probably later in this game when it actually comes out, they'll actually have a bunch of stuff that you can buy. So they'll give you some options. I can say where I live, flooding isn't a terribly big issue, at least not like at my house. But during certain portions of the summertime, during the monsoons, I do have to go out and trench around the barnyard just so that things don't get so nasty and mucky and potentially hazardous. Oh, I hear sounds. I think we're loaded. Alright, so we start with kind of a free generator that's on. What's my map saying? This is the back alley area, but there's a hole in here that leads to a river, or an aqueduct, whatever you want to call it. Is there... Doesn't seem like there's a drain or anything in here. What do I have for equipment? Basically nothing. Let's go get locked and loaded from here. I'll want my trusty backpack. Definitely the rate as I swish everything around like a crazy person. I don't want the cable. Get out of here. Literally the last thing that I desire right now. I wonder how these pumps work. They probably just spit it out in a certain direction that I need a hose for. So, this is a mess. But why is this a mess? Do I have to, like, scrape this away? This looks like dirt and debris, but it also kind of just looks like somebody who was trying to cement this close got lazy. Am I sure that there's no water drains back here? I am not. Well, I guess let's get the lay of the land. This is as far as I got before. Is there any... Well, there's a bunch of drains over here that I have to deal with, which I guess makes sense. This is literally Main Street, and it said I have to do something with a store, which is probably along here. Okay. Oh, I just fell to my doom into this pit. Amazing. So, we got one here, along the edge of the walkway, I'm guessing. There it is. These are the dainty little drains that you'd have on, like, a Main Street mall that are more attractive than your average run-of-the-mill drain. Well, if that's where one is, they're probably along this black line, like right here. Because when you're putting in, like, a hidden pipe to get rid of water, typically you want them in one straight line go and not twisting around, because that requires excessive digging and finagling around cables and other stuff that's buried underwater. And these things, like, started clogging up almost instantaneously. I'm gonna have to make a few circuits of this particular area, I'm guessing. Here's another one. Is that everything in this line? Kind of. There is another one. This is literally something that people do on places like YouTube Shorts and TikTok. Is they'll go around while they're recording, and they'll take, like, a rake or a shovel and their galoshes, and they'll go out to, like, a road nearby their house or on their way home from work, and they'll just go see where the drains are and empty them. Sometimes it's just the fact that these drains are really easy to clog with, like, leaves and gunk. Other times it's just that, like, a lot of cities don't have the biggest budget to clean, like, storm drains as they probably should. So these things don't get cleaned out nearly as often as they should. Or they don't get scheduled for cleaning nearly as often as they should, because a lot of these places have got, like, a spreadsheet that says, like, well, you know, Acre Street hasn't flooded in a while. We probably don't have to worry about that storm drain, even though it's clogged with, like, you know, 3 feet of mud, that missing hiker from January, and also a bunch of leaves and sticks. Maybe, like, depending on where you live, it could also have, like, random items from people in there, like trash and everything. Sure, a lot of paper plates and trash wrappers have clogged more than 1 or 2 streets over time. There's another one. I will say the lighting has improved sufficiently, or maybe a little bit dramatically, from when I first tested this out at the start of Steam Next Fest and meant to make a recording, where you could really just not see in the water at all. Like, it was almost like you were blind. Almost. So with those open, I know that there's like this pit here. This pit must have some drains in it too, which I can definitely see. I guess there's once again one on either side here, if I can see it in this water. This water is much, much deeper, so I can't really see a thing in it. Will my trusty tablet tell me the secrets of Nim? I guess it's in the corners, maybe? It seems like it, but I ain't seeing anything. No, nothing there. Is it more in... You know what? I could get out my trusty hand vac. Just like infinity sucks forever. This only has to, like, get down to the lip here before it'll start to get rid of everything. Although these other drains are clogging already, which is annoying. There's my rake. Let's just rake you open, so we can get rid of the water here a little faster. There we go. Perfect. Let me just... I'm sure this one's clogged too. Yep. Sure is. I wonder This is one of those, like, features on, like, a street that I don't always understand what the original intention was for, and maybe it is to provide drainage, a common low point for all the water to go. But I just am not certain. I guess it's just these two on either side of me, so I just have to go patrol up and down the drainway, because this one's, again, already starting to close. Alright, a draining we will go, a draining we will go, hi-ho the dairy-o, a draining we will go. Insane in the membrane, insane in the drain. Hopefully these, drain maintenance puns and jokes are doing it for everybody there at home. I guess this is also another low point in the street. Is there... It almost looks like there's supposed to be a big circular drain up there, but it's not circled as if there is one, so I'm uncertain what that's supposed to mean. They do seem to have nerfed the infinity suction vacuum, because when I was first starting to play this, it was basically infinite, and you could just sit here with it on and basically go AFK, and by the time you came back from using the toilet and getting a cup of coffee, it would already have played the game for you, which is probably a good thing for the best. Because no matter how much you think people are going to play a game exclusively because they like, you know, the gameplay loop of clearing out drains to clean up the place so it doesn't flood, there will always be somebody who's going to try to optimize the fun out of literally everything. Which is unfortunate. So we're just going to suction that open. This one we, like, just opened a bit ago, but we're going to open it again. And then, like, almost right away, it fills back up with crud. I'm sure that the team who's working on this already has plans for it, but it would be kind of neat to, like, slowly see these things fill with debris, like leaves and stuff. But for an early demo, a big lump of mud with leaf particles around, it's not the worst way to go. It's just maybe not the most exciting. Okay, so this is the cafe up here that I need to empty out? Yeah, it's this one right here. Okay. What can I use for this? I guess I could just literally stand here and suction this bad boy out. I did bring a generator, but like, where would you even put it? I guess you could put it on these tables or something. But the important thing is one of the employees left a wet floor sign, and I'd hate for people to get the wrong idea and think that this was a dry cafe. You know, with all of the water pooling outside. Here's what I mean. Like, this vacuum cleaner is the most ridiculous thing ever. It's just the Infinity Suck 9000. If you've got a moisture problem that you need to be removed, or, I don't know, like you get a hamster caught in the crawl space and you gotta suction them out of there, or your aunt is in from out of town in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and you just really want to hush things up with a suction to the mouth, all of these things are an option. Maybe your Uncle Ted's here at Thanksgiving talking about things that just upset everybody. Just give him the old, InfoSuck 9000 and no one needs to ask questions. Hides the evidence, hides the floodwaters, and hides the bodies. Everything you could have dreamed for. One convenient package. That is literally never ending. I think we're about done here. Trouble is, like, it's gonna look like it's super, like, drenched in water up until it's not. Whatever that ends up meaning to you. Oh, and this is all janked up in here separately. Alright, well, I can certainly handle that with the Infinisuck 9000. Even suck up your hopes and dreams so you can live in a dry, motionless reality. Perfect. Alright. Next up, we just have to finish up the street, which is still kind of having a problem. Where's my rake? It rakes, nerd! There There we go. I say that like I'm not a nerd, but whatever works for you. There's gotta be a drain in here somewhere. There's no way there isn't, right? This view doesn't seem that useful. Because, like, it's raining out, and there's, like, surfaces that are very clearly not flooded, where it's like, yeah, there's water here. Well, no doy, dude, it's raining outside. There's water everywhere. There's some on my head, too. I'm not gonna try to drain that with a rake. It sounds like it's painful. Alright, I guess it checked off things so fast I barely had a chance to recognize what happened, but that's fine. I'm just gonna use my most overpowered tool yet. Where are the drains in here? Are there drains? There's gotta be. No one would design a pit like this without a drain. I say as I remember that sometimes civil engineers are worried more about the way things look than the way things function. And vice versa. Some people are worried more about the function than the looks, and it ends up looking like a derpy giraffe designed your highway. Alright, I guess there's literally nothing in here, so we just have to sit here and give it the old suck. Alright, well I suppose this is actually a pretty good sized demo for you to get the idea of this game. It's only like the tutorial and it looks like one level unless more unlock for me after I'm done here. So this is considered a sitting area, which I suppose makes sense. You could use each of these concrete blocks as like a seat. It looks like you're supposed to set something in here, like a recessed stage, like a sound stage or something. I don't know. I don't go to as many fairs as an adult that I did as a kid, and as a kid I didn't really pay attention to the intention and design of certain places. And maybe that's just my loss, who knows. I'm curious, like, you can definitely get points to buy things in this game. I'm curious what they intend to add to this game for purchases. Because I know in Power Washing Simulator, you can buy things that you would normally associate with power washing, which I'm more familiar with than liquid vacuuming. Maybe you could buy a better vacuum that does a better job of sucking all the water up, better pumps, additional tools like sponges maybe to help move water around. Maybe sandbags, like a deployable sandbag thing would be kind of cool too, to direct water when you're trying to prevent an area from being flooding rather than just cleaning up for the aftermath. Would be kind of cool. So I did the cafe. I've done most of the center area. I guess once this is done, I just have to look on the sidebar to see what I still have left. I know I need to do that alley over there. That alley is literally just going to be me standing there with a vacuum cleaner for 20 minutes. Admittedly, there are some people who make a lot of money in life, especially those cleaning services where you could literally just describe them as a guy or a gal who makes a lot of money by standing there with a vacuum cleaner in somebody's house that just doesn't have the time to deal with it. Oh, it's almost gone. Come on. Okay, is it? Are we done? We've got to be done, right? Back alley and left. What is left? Counts as left. This counts as left? I guess there's just a little bit still here. Guess this just got a little bit too clogged, even though it looks like it did its job completely. I'd call this good already, but, you know, I'm not a drainologist, okay? Don't necessarily quote me on any of that. Alright. Well, I guess if this is still a problem, we'll just vacuum all the way up here to this planter. Including the planter. Well, there's only a little bit left here, so it must just be here in this centerpiece where I still see some water flowing. I'm literally just going where I see, like, puddles enough that it's rendering a huge puddle. Because this view, again, doesn't really show me anything. Just everything's blue because it's raining out. Must be back over here. Is it mad because I didn't re-empty these drains? Is that why it's mad at me? Is there, like, water stuck in these clumps? It just feels like when I say that I'm talking about a cat's hairball. Okay, I guess that was it. Alright, fair enough. So that's done. I just need to do the back alley. Which is... what counts as the back alley? Can't really zoom the... Can you zoom the map? I'm not sure. Is it the arrow? Is it the plus? No. I'm not sure. I'm guessing the back alley is just that area that we started in, so we're just gonna go clear that up. It still says the water level's like at half, which I don't know that I believe that, considering I've removed so much already. The last bit is just right in here. I guess this didn't really count, that just counted towards the main center or square area. There's literally no drain in here, it's just, it was supposed to drain into the waterway here. That drain's not at a proper level, which is a common problem. People are only paid to build what they are paid to build, and if the building instructions don't tell you to dig it deep enough, that's not really the contractor's fault. They made to order sort of situation. That's one of the things I always talk about, right? When weird new CEOs take over a business and they're successful and they're not the kind of person that people end up hating, is like, they're like, oh yeah, you know, I just made sure people talked to each other to make sure all the projects worked correctly instead of screaming at each other for not following the exact letter of the instructions because it was wrong. Or something, I don't know. Kind of depends on the company, I guess. Admittedly, the only companies I've really watched documentaries about, like, what they changed to make the company not run like butt, were companies like Lego, because I like Legos, and I was like, oh, I could watch about a guy wax poetically about Legos, why not? I think if I remember correctly, Lego's problem was mostly that it was a little overcomplicated. Like, they had too many pieces, and people like to be able to make some of the newer stuff without having to buy the newer kits. So they end up following the instructions and doing things like what they call building the Rainbow Death Star out of a bunch of random pieces. Okay, that took me like 20 minutes and I only got a 2-star rating, really? So I guess that's what the pumps are for. I'm just supposed to like set it up and forget about it while I go take care of the rest elsewhere. Huh. Alright, well, that's Drain Simulator for you. I hope you've enjoyed so far. I've been your host, Larry. That's just kind of a preview of this game, and I will catch you next time. Bye, everybody, and have a good one.